Okay, hi everyone. My name is Mike Edwards. I'll be your instructor for the Introduction to Transportation class, Marketing 3770, Spring 17. Here's all my contact details right here, so you can reach me in any of these ways. I am based in the Center for Transportation Studies, which is in JCPenney over by the library. And we do have our own research center over there, so you're welcome to stop by anytime you're on campus or you need to meet with me. You can meet with me there. I am generally there Tuesday through Thursday from 8:30 until generally 1:30 or 2, but I'm available anytime you'd like to meet. And you can obviously email me. This does come to my mobile, so there's no loss of continuity there. I see, and I check emails 24/7. So that's the nature of business, and that's what I do. So here's a little bit on qualifications. If you look at the faculty information tab, which is part of your Start Here folder, you'll see that I've been in industry for over 40 years in senior executive roles, senior executive supply chain roles, and have had anything we talk about for these next 16 weeks. I assure you that I have been there, done there, and got the T-shirt. And so my sense of or my experience is something that you'll see that I kind of weigh in. I'll give you my 2 cents where I think it's appropriate. Um, and I'll also use examples of things that I've done over the years that could or should be relevant. So let's start down the syllabus. There is no prerequisite really, other than just that you have a GPS of 2.0. You do not have to take have had any other transportation classes to enroll in this course. And this course is really the beginning course that will lead you towards a transportation minor, which we'll talk about as we go through the course itself. Anything that I've put in here is subject to change at my discretion. And if it does, I will let you know via an announcement that there has been a change in either content or point totals or something that I think might be appropriate, or if something really happens under the next administration that kind of throws us all for a loop, we may spend a little time talking about that we hadn't really planned on either. So we'll see, but I think it's crucial that you understand that there's really two sides of this. There's a day-to-day operating side, and then there's a strategic side of this. And I want you to understand the day-to-day, but I really want you to be thinking about strategic applications and how this all fits together. And I think that's really a very important part of what we're trying to do here is to um, kind of develop perhaps a different view of the supply chain process than what you've been exposed to in other classes. This is potentially a little more realistic in terms of what you could or should expect and what you could or should have to do in order to actually implement this process. And your understanding of what happens here causes a counter reaction here. And so the need to really collaborate and work together is absolutely paramount. And even with that, it's generally the biggest obstacle you're ever going to have to face is going to be the culture within your firm. And so how do you organize that and in order to really get everybody moving on the same page and moving in one direction? And that is an ongoing issue, and it's one that many companies still have not solved. But it's important that there be somebody within the firm who understands that it needs to be addressed, and if you're operating in a very siloed environment, there are things happening around you that impact what you're doing, and you need to be able to pull that in. And so it's going to be incumbent upon you, if you choose to do this role, be in this kind of a role, um, to lead that. This course is cross-listed into LOM, which I think is now called Supply Chain. I think it's SCM and Analytics, I think is what it's called. SCMA or something like that. I'm not really sure about that. Um, so I should know that. But again, this is a little bit about the journey we're going to take here for the next 16 weeks. I've taught this class on several different occasions, and every time I've taught it, the students have come away with with an entirely different perspective of the role of transportation. And that's the point. The point is that it's much more than just moving goods from A to B. The impact of transportation on society from a historical perspective. The study of transportation is a study of society and really civilization. So if you think about that, and that's the context in which we're going to attack it, we'll be looking at a variety of different things here. Um, we'll look at technology. We're going to look at economics. We're going to look at global trade planning. We're going to look at costing and pricing. We're going to look at freight bills. We're going to look at all the different kinds of modes and get a high level understanding of how they're the same and how they differ. And so we have 16. We're going to look finally the last week. We're going to 15. We'll look at the urban transportation side, which is becoming more and more important as the population trends are leading us more towards what we call megacities. And the whole idea of the fact that people are moving to, are understandably moving to where the jobs are, and the jobs are in a in a megacity or a urban area. There's multiple titles for this, and we'll talk about all that too, and what all that means. So we're going to spend a lot of time on physical side. We're going to spend a lot of time on information, and we're going to talk about finance because it impacts all of it. So it is a big thing. It's a $5 trillion industry around the world. It's also probably and arguably the most complex activity within the supply chain. It's obviously the most visible activity within the supply chain. But since it's the last mile, if you will, or the first mile, if you will, it's actually probably the most complex activity that can take place. So understanding why you selected the transportation mode you did, or you elected to take the transportation policy that you did, and how you can better how you can manage it through technology is what we're going to try to get through. Is what we're going to try to set for you, if you will, over these next weeks. And we're going to focus a lot on transportation management and its role in supply chain management. And then we're going to talk about supply chain management in some detail so that you get some sense of the trade-offs between what happens within the supply chain management process and the importance of how it fits together at the end of the day. And I think you'll find that interesting. And I think you'll also find interesting just how transportation fits into the economic environment that we're in here. So here's the book. You will need the book. Here's the ISBN numbers. We're looking at the 8th edition here, which you will need. It's a 2016 edition. You will need the 8th edition. The 7th edition is out there. 7th edition is 7 years older than this. So it's out of date from this particular class, and you would be better served to get the 8th edition because that's what we're going to look at. It is available used. It's available new. You don't want to buy it new. Don't buy it new if you don't have to. You might be able to download the ebook on this. If you can do that, that's fine. I do use the text for the quizzes that comes through. So you will need the text. There are assigned readings, and there'll be questions on the quizzes that relate back to the text as well as back to the PowerPoint and the panopsos that I do. So a little bit about the class itself. It's very consistent in how it's set up. First of all, there's 15 different weeks. I call them learning blocks. So there's learning blocks 1 through 15. Learning block 16 is the final. So in each of the first 15 blocks, it's the same thing. I have something called a supply chain briefing content folder, and in that folder, I'll put in articles. I'll put in 3 to 5 articles from generally the previous week that may relate to the week we're in, the course material for the week we're in, or it may not. It just may be something that just happened. that's relevant to transportation in general. You're going to be asked to select one of those articles and give me one page on it, double space, 12 points, so it's not really asking a lot. That kind of describes why I'm looking for why you chose the article, why you think it's important. I want you to summarize the article in terms of what it's saying. Then I want you to talk about again why it's important. Then I want you to talk about the relevance to the class, and then I'm looking for conclusions and recommendations from you. So it'll be when we start off in week 1, week 2, week 3. It's you're not going to be graded real hard. You will get feedback from me because I read it all, and you will get feedback on again just to kind of give you a sense for what I'm looking at. But what I'm looking for is for you to expand your horizon beyond just your ability to say, well, Walmart did this, or Sam's did this, or somebody did that. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for you to tell me why it's important and what you think about it and how you think it might apply. And you'll see that as you see the feedback that I'm going to give you. So the points, the available points will tighten up on that. The other thing is there's a quiz in every one of those in every week, generally for 30 to 40 points. And it's in addition to the briefing article, it'll be multiple choice and true false and short answers and stuff like that. So it won't be all essay where you can just make up an answer. Okay, goodbye. So you're going to have to review the material and look at the material in order to do it. The only thing that there is a research paper involved that's due in week 16, and the topic is yours. And there's, as you see when you go through the syllabus, you'll see that we wait a few weeks, and then I'm going to ask you to provide me the topic that you would like to write on based on what you've heard over the first few weeks of the class. And hopefully we'll find some areas that are of interest to you. I will tell you, last semester, a lot of people wrote on autonomous vehicles. Which is fine. You can all write on the same topic if you want. There's a lot going on there. We will talk about that kind of thing in some detail, actually, because it's certainly developing and evolving, not only from a technical standpoint, but from a regulatory standpoint. So we will talk a lot about that and many other things that goes on. The library is a place you can go to do some of your research. And I'm telling you, here's the way that you use the library. Here's the grade center. Here's the grade scale that we've done. The other thing we do is discussion boards. I use discussion boards quite liberally, actually. And I use discussion boards to bring in articles that are not in your content folder or are not in your briefing folder, but maybe just happened today where maybe something just hit the wire. And I'll put it out there for you. All discussion boards are extra credit. So it's a way for you to max points if you're having a bad week or you had a bad week or weeks. It's a very straightforward way for you to get additional points. And so I would encourage you to look at that. It's your responsibility to look at that. I'm not going to tell you about it. So make sure you check the discussion boards periodically. Discussion boards are open for the entire course, so if you don't answer them in the week they're due, there's really no due date on them at this time. I might decide to change that. If I do make any changes in anything on the syllabus or anything at all like that, I will send out an announcement, which will go to you, to everybody in the class. It's your all's responsibility to check the announcements and to respond accordingly, just to make yourself aware of what's going on. But Blackboard or discussion boards is a great way to get some points. Sometimes people have a bad semester. Personal things happen, or there's disruptions, if you will, in your life or whatever. So I'm willing to listen to all that and work with you on it. So if for some reason you can't make a due date, just let me know. And you'll find that I'm very flexible on that. It's important that you get to the material, and I will work with you on it. You don't want to make a habit of being late on everything, because then there will be some deduction if you simply don't get the stuff in. but from time to time, it's not unusual for the student to have some disruption in their life, and I'm actually quite open to that. And because my point is to get you excited about this, and so that's what I'm hoping to do, and I hope we do that, and just make you aware of the breadth of this, of the influence of this, of the magnitude of this whole area, um, and the fact that we need talent in transportation. We truly need talent. And so there are opportunities out there, and I'll make you aware of those opportunities as they're made aware to me, and I seek them out. Uh, uh, there's several employers here in the area who always let us know that they're looking to hire. Some people are hiring all the time, and we'll make sure that you are aware of that. The other thing is out there is we do have a transportation club here, and we will be taking some tours. We'll be going to Bissinger's Chocolate Factory in February, and then we have a plan to go on a barge, a river barge, a towboat, a tugboat, and actually go up the Mississippi a little bit, and then we're going to go to a go to a carrier terminal, look at a terminal operation. So we do things like that. There's 3 or 4 tours, and you will be made aware of those because you're taking the transportation class. And you can always join in on the transportation club meetings. Not only if we have meetings, and this is your club, not my club. Um, if we have a meeting and we have a tour the same week or the same month, that's fine too. So you'll see that. Rest of this stuff is pretty much boilerplate until we get down to um, until we get down to. Well, I should mention this. Okay, this is it's important that you get your computer ready to go. So look at the Start Here tab and make sure that this is your first online course, that you have everything you need. I think you need something called Silverlight to run the Panoptos, which are these are actually this is a YouTube, but I use Panopto and YouTube depending upon which one is working. Panopto is cranky. So anyway, so here we are. We're now down on page 15, I think, and so we're gonna look at the week. I call it a learning block, and so this is we'll spend the first week talking about the supply chain. Here's your readings. Here's the assessment we'll be looking at. There'll be essay questions. It's worth 30 points. Within the lecture and the PowerPoint, there's generally 3 to 4 mini lectures. So you'll have mini lectures within the overall, which are all different subjects, every week, generally, mainly 3 to 4. So week 1, we'll talk about the supply chain. Week 2, we'll talk about technology. There's a tremendous amount of technology in transportation. And we'll talk about some of the different things, some of which you may have already been exposed to in some of the LOM classes. So this will be a little different level of discussion about them. And then here's week 3 and 4. So everything's broken down. There's into each week, tells you when it's going to be released. Everything is released on the Monday of the week at midnight. And everything is for that week is due on the following Sunday by midnight. So you can see all this. You can see here's your research topic is due at the end of week 6, as I mentioned to you. So you'll have 6 weeks of exposure to all this material to help you think about what kind of a topic you'd like to talk about. And so this coupled with the supply chain briefing articles generally will give you at least some sense of what you might want to be thinking about. I have a cold, so sorry about that. So here's the modes. We go through each and every one of the modes, and then we go into the transportation intermediaries, which are what we call third-party logistics providers. Some of you may work for some of those guys right now. And then we go into global transportation. We go into what I call trade compliance, which is cross-border management, where we talk about classifications and denied parties and duties and taxes and all that kind of activity and documentation and crossing the borders and what you need to do. And then in week 15, we talk about urban transportation and e-commerce, which obviously is a very timely thing. Just coming off of the holiday right now, what's happening in e-commerce is really, really changing the landscape for retail supply chain. Um, and by the time we get to this in week 15, it will change again. And then the final was basically your research paper, which needs to be 6 to 10 pages. And then the final itself, it shows 3 essay questions. Actually turned out to be 30 questions. It was basically all multiple choice with a couple of short answers. So the format may change, but the questions themselves will be taken from each week. So there's at least 15 multiple choice, true, false kind of things, short answer type things. And then there's a couple of essays as well too. So it's worth 75 points, and that's pretty much the class right now. So I think the key thing is for you to go to the Start Here folder right now and get the book. Look at the syllabus again. Make sure you note what things are due on your own calendar. Make sure that your computer is ready to go, and we'll get started. So look forward to having you, and I think you'll have a lot of fun with this. As I said, most of the students have taken this, have come away very pleased with this course, the format of the course, and the breadth of the course. And the thing about this is that even though we talk about things once a week, in real life, what we talk about in here, we do every day. And so that's very different than other kinds of functions and activities, business activities. And what we do here applies equally to not only manufacturing, it applies to services. So there's 2 sides to this, and we talk about both sides as we go forward. So glad to have you with us. And there's an icebreaker out there, discussion board, which will be available to you. And I think the class opens up next Monday on the 9th. So look forward to seeing you online beginning the 16th. Thanks for tuning in.